Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 224 of the High Sensitivity Podcast, and thank you for listening. If it's your first time here, we talk about video game and movie news as well we watched or played over the week. My name is Barry, along with my fellow Astro Bot.
My name is Craig, proud Astro Bot. Happy to be here.
My name is also Craig, Platinum Astro Bot.
He did Platinum Astro Bot. That's good.
It's true. In a week. I'll take it.
I'm close. I'm getting there.
All right, cool.
But what we can never platinum is the news because achievements are always coming out for that. News is always changing. It's never the same.
Ooh, that was a good one, Barry.
So, biggest news is Flappy Bird.
Yep,
Flappy
of course.
Bird coming back in 2025 to mobile devices. I find it hilarious, like looking back on how popular that game was and how your phone or device was worth more if you had Flappy Bird on it is like one of those things where it was almost like what was the game on PlayStation? PT.
PT.
Yeah. PT. If you had that, it added an extra $100 to that value for your for it. But we will see if it's the same game. I don't really play on my phone too much anymore, like video game wise. So I don't see this being a thing for me, but I could definitely see it for other people, and people will download it for the sake of nostalgia.
Yeah, that's a perfect game for your phone.
It is, most definitely.
I'll probably download it. Why not?
Right. It's huge news.
Massive.
Next up is Annapurna's entire staff resigned after issues between them and the owner. They will make a new studio. Annapurna will still continue to do and make the games it's already put out for. They will just hire a new team for it. But one of the strange things, like this is the type of news where it was, I guess, the developer is breaking free from their owner, kind of in a way. This isn't sad news that they all resigned. This is with the disputes going on between them and the owner of Annapurna, they just decided, okay, we're all going to resign and we're going to make our own studio. So things are still being made, and it shouldn't affect any of the progress that is currently made on the games that they're making. But just kind of one of the weird things where we hear all this bad news about video games and layoffs and things and people resigning because of drama. This is one of those things where they resigned and there's not too much drama to it. It's just disputes, and they're just gonna make their own studio.
Yeah, you know what it reminds me of? This is a weird reference. We're not a music podcast, but Janet Jackson has had a long career. There's a particular album that she has way back in the 80s called Control. Control is specifically named because that was when she broke off from her father and his control over her musical career. And I mean, that we all saw how she was in the 80s, 90s, that type of thing. So maybe this is Annapurna's Control album, so to speak. Or at least part of the staff there, you know.
They said also, I think the Max Payne and Alan Wake stuff's still going, right? That's not affected in any way. Yeah, I'm excited to see what they do on their own. I mean, I love Annapurna stuff, so it's kind of a bummer, but good on them for banding together like that.
You rarely see it, very rarely, but it's just for the good of them, it sounds like.
Yep.
Now I will stop skirting around the bigger news.
Let's do it.
Go right into it. The PS5 Pro is announced, and here are some of the specifics about it. It is $700. It comes with a 2 terabyte SSD, no hard drive, no vertical stand, and you can add both of these things for a separate price.
$100 for the disk drive, right?
80.
Yeah.
And 20 for the stand.
Yeah, it's like
so
20,
an extra 100.
Some. Yeah.
So it's 800 if you want everything. Right. Go ahead, Barry. PlayStation Defender.
Well, so it's not so much defending it. Like I am somebody that's not interested in this. This is not for me, especially considering that I would need to not only buy the PS5 Pro, I'd also need to buy a hard drive because if I had and I've done a lot of research about what the system is. The PS5 Slim optical drive can be attached to this, but your OG PS5 drive cannot be attached. So,
Right.
us with our original PS5s cannot. You can't just take the drive off and put it on there and, go on your merry way. It doesn't work like that. The biggest feature that they continue to put out there is that there is PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution. It's kind of an AI graphic enhancing software. It's already in like the latest graphics cards. This is already being used in PCs. This is just now making its way to console. I understand why people are angry. The main reason it sounds like they're releasing this console is to eliminate the choice of whether or not you want to go graphics or frame rate.
Right.
Graphics is, of course, a diminishing return at this point. Graphics can only, I really think, at the generation we're at right now, graphics really only can look so good, and people want a smoother type of experience with frame rate. That is the point of, if you really want this type of thing, here you go. This is for you. It is not for me, and it's probably not for a lot of us here. Couple other things about this that I learned from Digital Foundry. The PS5 Slim and the PS5 Pro both work like the Xbox, that require a digital connection to activate discs. So you need to have a server online, you need to have this in order to play disc type games. The original PS5s still work the old way, where you can have a PS5 and play it out of the box, where you don't need the discs to be activated on it. So keep that in mind if you are someone who is a physical disc owner like ourselves, like most of us here.
Yep.
I kind of went on things. Just go ahead. I'll let you guys talk, and then I'll get my feelings about it out there as well.
No.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. I know that there's certain things like that the consumer is often quote unquote tricked, but not really, but tricked by things like this, where we are paying more without like it's almost like they don't think that people can do their own research and realize it. Now I know it is made for a specific demographic to prevent that the choice that you mentioned earlier, Barry, like there it is, but I still couldn't help but feel like flabbergasted when I was reading exactly and determining mathematically how much I would have to pay if this was something that I just maybe wanted to upgrade to, or or even just like down the road, if for some reason my PS5 decides that it's clocking out for life, like if I would take that leap, and it's a no from me, dog.
Yeah. Couple things that I wanted to like make sure and point out. I personally, this isn't like just aimed at like Sony. I'm so tired of whenever a gaming company is in the lead, I'll put that in quotes, they always do something stupid like this, right? I think back to PS3, $599, remember? And when they got asked about the price, at the time, the guy at E3 was like, "Oh, I think people would be happy to get a second job and feel pride in saving up to purchase a $599 PS3." Didn't work out. And then you had Xbox take over with the 360, and then the Xbox One came out and they fumbled it with the always online. And then, well, if you're not online, we have a console for you. It's the 360, right? They did the same exact thing. PS4 took over. Now we're in the same position where PS5, in my opinion, is dominating the Series X. And then they go and like, hey, you know what? We're dominating $700. Nobody's paying $700 for a console except very, very select few. And I just don't like, for me, I know like I watched the video, which wasn't very long. They're talking about like, oh, you don't have to choose between, 4K and 60 frames. It's going to be both, which I can appreciate. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Price is still too high. On like the Digital Foundry thing that you're talking about, Barry, they have the game breakdowns.
I
Alan
know where you're going.
Alan Wake 2, 864p at 60 frames per second. on the Pro. 864, not even 1080p. Last of Us Part 2, 1440 at 60 on the Pro. So that's okay, right? Like you don't have to choose on that. Ratchet and Clank between 1440 and 1800 at 60 frames. Horizon Forbidden West was not in 4K at 60 frames. It was at 1080. Hogwarts Legacy was also at 1080 at 60. Gran Turismo 7 was under 1080 at 60 frames. And Dragon's Dogma 2 was 864p at 60 frames. These are all on the PS5 Pro. And they want you to pay $700 for that. And those aren't games that have been out for a while. Right? And maybe the future games do a better job. Maybe. But like to me, I read all that and I was like, why would anybody pay 700 and then another 80 for a disk drive? Why would you pay that?
I got a question for you guys too. When they were showing the comparison of like games on the PS5 and the PS5 Pro, I mean, I went to my optometrist within the last 4 months. Did you guys notice that huge of a
No.
difference?
No,
They-
because we're at the point where it doesn't matter.
Well, yeah, and they didn't do themselves any favor where we're all watching on our cell phones
Right.
or our tablets, and then on top of that too, instead of making a full screen comparison, they shrink it down into a box.
Right.
Like
Yep.
you guys
Right.
like it's regular advertising tactics to
Yeah.
be
Right.
like, oh, like yeah, there's a difference there if you squint your left eye, tilt your phone up all the way to the north side facing the sun,
Yep.
and yeah. It,
Go ahead, Barry.
I was just gonna say, like, I think for a lot of people, like, this doesn't make sense. People don't understand why Sony's doing this. The PS4 Pro was 17% of the PS4 sales.
Mm-hmm.
I think if Sony would even allow this to get to 10 or 15, I think they'll be happy with what the PS5 like pro sale numbers are. If I had to guess, with it, $700 is a lot to ask for anything
In this economy?
Yeah. And
Yeah,
then there were a lot of graphs about like the adjusted prices of inflation.
Yeah.
For what consoles would be, of course, the most expensive if they were adjusted for now. PS2 actually wins that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't get it, to be completely honest, but I don't know, like PS5, and yeah, Craig called me the PS5 Sony fanboy already, but like I don't see the point in this. Even as a fanboy, I don't see the point in getting anything like this. I also hate the fact that like they didn't advertise anything new. It was just old games that we've already seen. Why not like stick a comparison of Death Stranding 2 on there?
Yeah, who's playing Rift in Time right now?
Right.
Like, who's playing Ratchet and Clank right now? Like,
To be fair, it did remind me to just pick up that.
Yeah, but how many?
Too.
Okay, so if the people buying this are considered like the high end PlayStation fans, they've already played all these games, right?
Yeah.
And you're not going to go back and play them again for a slightly better looking experience, are you? Not all of them. So show me the new games.
Yeah, exactly. Imagine jumping back into Final Fantasy VII remake reunion.
Yeah.
Like
right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, just another 100 hours just so I could play 4K 60 frames a second on Cloud's texture and some weirdo about Aerith Tifa's shorts or something like that. Look, not me. It's a weirdo. Not me saying that. It's a weirdo.
I think the overwhelming comments I've seen are like, at that price, just get a PC. Right?
I still think you'd have trouble making a PC that's close to that for the price. That PSSR is what they're calling it. Like that is in today's graphics cards, high-end graphics cards.
Right.
So it's one of those things, but watching the Digital Foundry video, it's kind of like a big it's going to be a big talking point for a while, but this is the first flagship system to be sold without a disk drive.
Yeah.
Yes, you can buy it separately, but is this what the future entails? You know, are we going to get to the point where, you know, Sony or even Xbox decides to go, hey, digital is the main thing. We're just going to cut disk drives out, sort of deal there. And
I think so.
that's what I'm worried about.
I don't think it's ever going to go away. I think the next version of consoles for both of them will both be no disk drive, but they'll sell it separate.
Yeah,
I think that's what it's going to be.
with the three of us buying one.
Yeah, because they know, like, if people really want it, they'll pay $80 to $100, which we would.
Yeah.
I just think that the new standard is going to be like, no, you don't need a disk drive. If you want one, here it is. But out of the box, no.
Right.
Unfortunately, you can't even find physical discs in store anymore, really.
Yeah. The
Unless
disk
you
drives are sold
pre-order.
out
Yeah,
on certain
scalpers.
websites.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot, and I just don't. Again, I don't understand why we're doing this, but you know, I imagine like Sony's in it for the money as well.
Mhm.
Right.
And the last thing that I'll mention before I let you guys go, or we switch topics, because this is my last news topic. Like, there's got to be a lawsuit coming in. We were told that these consoles could do 4K at 60 frames a second. It's
8K.
advertised on the box.
Yep. Mine says
8K.
8K.
Hey, well, mine does say 8K too, but it's like I know Gran Turismo does 8K.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's the only game I know that's even available in 8K, and you have to have a monitor available to do 8K as well.
Right.
So I'm really surprised that's like, is that a talking point? Is that something that's being talked about? Because we were told these consoles could do 4K 60 frames a second, and it's advertised
Yep.
on the boxes of these consoles. So how? Why is the PS5 Pro able to do it and not my console right now? Like that's the most. It's kind of one of the more infuriating things if you think
That's
about
fair.
it.
That's fair.
We had the choice last PS4 and PS4 Pro, and also the Xbox One. We had the same choices. Do you want performance or do you want fidelity? And then when the PS5 was coming out, they said the exact same thing they're saying with the PS5 Pro. You won't have to choose anymore because it's 4K and 60. And I don't think a single game is 4K 60 on PS5 or Xbox Series X. I don't think. Can't imagine there would be. So they just
Yeah.
keep saying it each console generation. No, this is the one. No, this is the one.
Yeah, it's the selling point.
Yeah. And even Digital Foundry is coming out and saying, like, nah, most of these games that they're advertising aren't even hitting 4K.
Right.
Like the Alan Wake one is crazy to me. 860p? For real?
Yeah, I don't know. I have to watch that one. That's
Yeah.
insane. That's an
Yeah.
insane number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, talk about not allowing a beautiful game or like showing
Yeah.
a beautiful game justice.
Right. I don't know. Crazy.
Yeah, yeah. No, it is. It is definitely crazy. But that's all I had for news.
Okay. I just have two more. First, I'll stay on the Sony train here. State of Play rumored to be coming September 24th, which would be next Tuesday. And also, along with that, it's very weird the way this is worded, so I'll just say it this way. A new Like a Dragon to be announced with a particular character with a new hairstyle, because apparently that's important.
You see me trying to do the math
Yeah.
in my head. I was like, wait a minute.
I mean, there's only
With a
one
new-
character in those games that has a very prominent hairstyle, and it's the main character. So I would assume he's changing his hairstyle. But what else would they show? They just showed the PS5 Pro. What else are we waiting on?
I don't know. Maybe I don't know DLC for something like.
The Astro Bot DLC, maybe?
I don't know. I think like we've been told that we're getting like collaboration stuff for Stellar Blade. So I
Okay.
don't know if that's some of the stuff that they will be eventually be putting out. But they already said they weren't expecting anything to come out till fiscal year of next year. So
Maybe more Lego Horizon?
yeah, maybe
Maybe.
a release date for Death Stranding 2.
Yeah. What about it's probably too early for the Hideo horror game, right? With Jordan Peele.
I mean, I wish it wouldn't be, but yes.
Yeah.
Like realistically, yeah.
I like to dream.
Right.
Last one I have. This one gets me excited. There's been a lot of stuff going on with the 25th anniversary of the Tony Hawk games recently. A lot of stuff being posted and swirled around, and like the Instagram account for the Tony Hawk games has been posting a lot. Tony Hawk did come out and say this week that he did talk to Activision and that they are planning something. My hard hopes for like a Tony Hawk 3 and 4 remastered. I don't think we really would get a new Tony Hawk game. Or maybe I think we could all agree a Tony Hawk Underground remastered would be phenomenal. Just something. But as a huge Tony Hawk fan, this makes me extremely excited.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Like always exciting to hear that.
Yep. I don't know. Underground, I think would be better, but I think 3 and 4 makes the most sense.
It does. It does.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think they thought the first one sold well enough. Because last I heard, they were planning on doing 3 and 4 next, but it was canceled. Maybe that's different now that Microsoft owns them. Maybe there's more money to throw at it, or maybe it's a big nothing, and it's just like a video, you know?
Yeah.
Behind
And then
Hi,
I'll
my name's Tony Hawk, and this is
Yep.
the 25th anniversary of
Right.
my Pro Skater game.
Woo!
Thanks for all the support.
Woo! I would
Here's a
make me
video
really sad.
commemorating them all.
Here's some behind the scenes video.
Right.
But I will wait and see. But that's all I got.
All right, let's see. I got something that broke like just like maybe a couple of hours ago. Italian police have seized 12,000 fake retro consoles containing over 47 million pirated games. It was a
Sweet.
sting that obviously those things take months, to like figure out like those type of rings, but over $50 million worth was seized by the Italian officials, and that obviously that $50 million haul was set to be sold across the world. So it's kind of interesting when you think about it, because like when for people like us who do enjoy the retro market, something to just kind of keep in mind. Like you never know what is counterfeit and what isn't, depending on how your means of buying it. Like us going to our local store, I'm not foreseeing something like that happening to us.
Right.
But I thought that was pretty interesting. Did you guys hear about GTA 6 and the lowballing of performers who are playing for that soundtrack?
Yeah.
So yeah, so there was like a recent Heaven 17, specifically the musician who plays for that band called Martin Ware. Rockstar Games is being called out by him for allegedly lowballing with shockingly low rates. They charged, or they were apparently going to give that band $7,500 to use their song, and they would not give them any royalties in the future for that. And I don't know, I read it and I laughed out loud at my disgust, because when you think of how much money Rockstar has made off of the GTA series, and then when you also think how ingrained the soundtrack is because of how much time you spend in a vehicle in that game, I find it surprising that that's actually almost want to take back. I find it surprising because the companies show us this all the time in the gaming world. But I know that's not going to stop people like us probably from buying the game, but I don't know. What do you guys think? $7,500 for their hit song "Temptation" and no royalties after.
It doesn't seem far off than what would seem normal if you think about how many songs are in a GTA game between all the radio stations. 7,500. I don't know. It is low, but like how much? This is completely different. But how much did the college students get for college football each?
I think it was like $500.
$500 in a copy of the game, right?
Right.
I don't know. I guess my feeling is, yeah, that sucks, but like you're in a GTA game, your music's going to be heard a lot, and
that was my thinking as well.
Yeah, and if you don't take it, some other band is going to at that price, 100%.
Right.
Especially if you're like, oh yeah, I'm not that well known, but somehow Rockstar knows my song. Yeah, give me $7,500 and let me be in GTA 6. Are you kidding me? I'm taking it.
On top of that, too, like you have to remember kind of the trickle down effect where people hear you from GTA 6. They now are streaming your songs. they're streaming your other CDs and songs because they found it. So it's one of those things where I'll admit it sounds low for
Mhm.
Rockstar, but I've never heard of this band. I don't know the song Temptation from them. So it's one
Right.
of those things where it's like it did bring light to them, and
Mm.
probably more people have listened to this song or have heard of this band, and now that he's kind of called them out. But it like GTA 6 will break the highest selling game sold by a landslide.
Yep.
GTA 5 did it, GTA 6 is going to do the same exact thing. Where if your music is in there, there are hundreds of millions of people who are now getting impressions on your song because
Yeah.
of that. Um, somebody is bound to like it, even if it's 1% of that 100 million
Yeah.
people. It
Right.
is that is a largeable amount of money, especially when it comes to if they start going to your concerts, start buying your merch, your music. It all comes down to that trickle down sort of, but to each their own, I guess.
Let me
Right.
let me ask you this. I know for me, like the Tony Hawk games, right? They helped form my music taste quite a bit. Just because I heard stuff there. There are still times, literally this past weekend, like when we're on a road trip and a song comes on in the car, like my wife and I will turn to each other and be like, Saints Row, because like that's where we know it from. You know what I mean? Or like GTA, right? Like that. There's a lot of songs that either that I have personally learned either from uh, GTA, Saints Row, or Tony Hawk games that I would not have listened to otherwise.
Hmm.
So I think that, like you said, Barry, like the amount of people that are going to have ears on your music, to me, is worth it, even if it was seems like a low amount at the time. I don't know.
No, I mean, and that's an interesting point too, because like when you combine it with like what the gameplay is eventually going to be for GTA 6, which will promote your song because they're probably going to be playing your song Temptation while they're cruising
Yeah.
downtown, hitting cars, and like I mean, that's the kind of stuff that helps propel our like of something,
Yeah.
is the fun that's behind it while we're hearing it. So, I mean, that's a good point by both of you, you know. Um, I think I find it interesting. This is the last thing I'll say on it. That this is maybe the first artist to speak out, or the first band, artist, whatever, to speak out on it. Which I think also is telling, because you got to think that Rockstar was paying a similar amount of money, change because of inflation for GTA 5, and so on and so forth. But all these other bands and artists are probably like, well, it's GTA,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
like marketing out the wazoo,
Do,
free marketing.
do you think there's people who are doing the meme over there, like other bands who are like, you guys got paid? You know what I mean? Like, is there other ones out there who just did it
Yeah.
for name
Right.
recognition?
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah, that would surprise me.
Mm-hmm.
The last thing I have, and this is not like necessarily old news, but I'm becoming a Black Myth Wukong reporter. I feel like, um, Steam typically has a breakdown of the demographic of user that is on Steam, and normally English speaking is the highest percentage of players and users on Steam. Second is Chinese. So they kind of dominate in the 30% with a lot of other, you have like Russian, Spanish, Portuguese, so on and so forth. Um, the Chinese percentage has gone past the English speaking percentage in recent times. And it's not, it's like undeniable as to find out why after, they did some digging, and it's specifically Black Myth Wukong. 88% of the users playing Black Wukong on Steam on day one were Chinese users, and it's one of the fastest selling games of recent memory there as well. So I don't know. I've been personally playing it in between trying new games, which I'll get to when we get to our game segment, which is next. But I've always been going back to Black Wukong to just chip away at it, and I've been trying to figure out if this is like my top three, sometimes even my game of the year. And like I see things like this, and I'm like, well, somebody else thinks that,
Mm-hmm.
most definitely. So I know I said it last week, or maybe yeah, I think it was last week, where like I think we should really pay attention to see what this wins, if it wins anything, because like I think the public is like really consistently speaking about it. The most talked game that I've seen from my friends is have you played besides Astro Bot is Black Myth Wukong.
Yep.
I think the VGA does like best breakout game of the year, and if
Yeah.
Wukong doesn't win it, then Jeff Keighley has it rigged.
Right.
I would be surprised if it doesn't end up in the nomination for game of the year though.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think it will be.
Yeah.
I
It'll
agree.
absolutely be nominated.
Yeah, it's just great to see, because these are the kind of games you take a chance. We all looked at it. Some of us wanted it to win more than others. I was still in the medium area, but like this was the one that I was buying no matter what, and I'm really glad that I did. I know a lot of people are. So, and the other one is Stellar Blade.
Will not be nominated for game of the year.
How dare you?
I'm telling you right now, it won't be.
I hope it gets somewhere in soundtrack of the year.
Yeah, I know. This is a tough year for that. There's a lot of games with some.
Yeah,
It'll be
Wukong's
in
got
best.
some
It'll be in
soundtrack.
best breakout. That's a first time, right?
It'll be
Kinda.
nominated.
Yeah, it'll
Yeah.
be nominated. Yeah,
It'll
but
definitely
it'll
be
lose to
nominated.
Black Myth.
It'll lose. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I had, guys.
All right, so games this week. I only played Astro Bot this week in an attempt to try to finish it. I have Space Marine 2. I do plan on starting that sometime this week. But in between literally all of my sports teams letting me down, I kind of regret liking sports and not just finishing Astro Bot instead.
That's fair. Like I said earlier, I did platinum Astro Bot, so I did everything. I'm still like I'm after Astro Bot, I shifted right back into Black Myth Wukong to try and finish that next. But I did also start playing the Funko Fusion game that came out.
Well, you gentlemen will be happy to know, as you sold me last week, I started Astro Bot. I
Okay.
literally bought it while we were podcasting. For those of you who could actually tell where my eyes were towards the end of it, because I was buying it on my phone. And then I also started the casting of Frank Stone, because I sometimes throw my hat in certain games to just think that they're okay, So those are
Fair.
the two I played this week.
All right, so I guess we'll go into Astro Bot, as it is kind of the older of the games that we have here. Before I get to expand on it a little bit more, Craig, we sold you on it.
Yeah.
What do you
did.
think?
Wow.
That's the right answer.
Wow. Awesome. Sorry, you might have to turn me down when you do the editing, Barry. But it's awesome. It's an awesome game. This is the type of game when you talk about small delicacies that mean so much to the player. You guys said it, you sang it from the rooftops, utilizing the PS5 controller more, and heavily using it because I know there's games that add some audio stuff here and there. We've played games and talked about them over the last couple of years that do that, but there's a certain nuance to this game, and I didn't even do like a chunk of it. I beat first Cluster of Planets, first boss, which is where I am currently at, and I was completely impressed. Every level felt different. I felt Mario Sunshine. I felt Crash Bandicoot. I felt like there were so many different levels that made me think of another level it got inspiration from. And then, like you guys were saying as well, finding all the individual, just small PlayStation nods is you don't want to leave a level. You're like, do I have everything? Am I sure? Let me
Yeah.
see if I can run all the way back to the beginning. It's presented well. It's adorable and fun, which sounds like it's an easy combination to achieve, but it's not always. And I see why it is a craze. I see why it is on everybody's mind. And I'm actually quite surprised that I haven't played it since, but I started it maybe like midweek. But I'm really trying to beat a game in September.
Yeah.
So I
Yep.
keep going back to Black Myth. But it guys, it's super. It's going to I'm 2 hours in, hour in, whatever, and I'm already saying it's got to be in a top 10 somewhere it's going to be somewhere in my top 10. It's fantastic. It's awesome.
Barry.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm not done with it yet. I'm very close. I'm on the last planet, I think. And then we'll see where it goes from there. I don't want to spoil any of like the levels that they allow you to do, but like the third world, I was like, wait, we're getting this instead? Like you kind of expect Sony to be like, hey, we're just gonna cash cow our four main franchises because you get a God of War level,
Yep.
so to speak. So you're waiting for like some other type of level that's close to, on their God of War, like The Last of Us or anything like that. Whether that is one of them, I don't know yet. We'll see. But it's yeah, Craig's right. Like I try to not leave a world until I've completely like finished it.
Mm-hmm.
The Really the couple things that I really wish the game would do a little bit better job with is like the responsiveness when it comes to like those challenge levels can get kind of frustrating sometimes. And when you land and sometimes you jump, it's a continuation of your laser instead of jumping. And like that can get a little bit annoying because it's something where like these challenge levels, they sometimes require some pretty precise jumping and training. So there will be times where you die and it's not your fault.
Yep.
Kind of deal there. So and those levels you have to start all the way back at the beginning if you die. So if you're getting frustrated, it can definitely get frustrating. I've had a couple sessions where I'm pretty angry at how the game is being unfair, but I only have about 40 bots left to collect, and I still haven't seen Kingdom Hearts, so I'm getting a little worried that I may not get a Sora appearance. I don't even know if there's any Final Fantasy
Craig
appearance.
won't tell.
Craig,
I mean, I
yeah,
can tell you if you want, but
yeah, I know he's not in it. Just
who?
Sora. There's no way he's not in it. Yeah, he's not. I know
There is
he's not.
somebody else though. Did you find somebody else you would like yet?
From like Final Fantasy series.
No, there's nobody from Final Fantasy.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's I was kind of.
There is somebody though that I found, and I was like, oh man, Barry's gonna be pumped. Actually, you
You mean?
both will.
Well, you mean like Joker?
Yeah.
Yeah, Joker, and there's
Yeah.
P3R examples in there as
Yep.
well. I think the happiest I was to find Aegis,
Mm-hmm.
from P3R. Uh, but yeah, no, like the combination of everything has definitely been well worth it. I like the little trophies you get just by exploring in that home world, and getting stuck in Katamari's ball gets you a
Yep.
trophy. Um, it's simple things like that. Some of them are a little bit harder to figure out, but you just have to play around with it. But getting to the end, I'm excited for the end just because I want to see how it all ends up. But I've been really enjoying my time with the game.
Yeah, I think for me, it's firmly planted at number one right now for
Yeah,
Game of the Year. Like
firmly planted.
firmly planted. And that was even me like going back and like, what else came out this year? Oh yeah, Final Fantasy came out this year. But the a couple of things that like push it over the top for me. It's after every world when you beat the boss and then you get the video game specific levels. Those are all so well done.
Yeah,
Interesting choice to make the first one Ape Escape,
Ape Escape. Yeah,
but so cool. Um, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't even want to say all of them because to me it was such a cool surprise to be like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, that's what we're doing because you do that first one, like the Ape Escape one, is cool. And you're like, oh yeah, I remember Ape Escape. But then when you get to the other ones and you're like, oh, these are like fully fleshed out levels based on
yeah.
actual like other games, and you're like, okay, these are amazing. To me, that really sold it. I will say, like, if you're going for every bot, uh, once you get all of them, there's one more, and it's like the master bot. To me, that was the perfect character to use. Um, Not everybody's going to know who it is, but I thought it was well done. But fair warning, to get him, you have to do a precision level that will literally make you want to hurl your PlayStation out the window. It's so bad, uh, like so difficult. Um, I took,
Great.
yeah, it took me a while, and I had to like walk away multiple times because I was getting so frustrated. Um, but yeah, I think the care with like not only putting every character in there, but also every single one of them has something you can get from the gotcha machine that then is like an accessory for them that if you go up and hit them in the world does something, is like so much effort was put into it. Uh, it's incredible. Like if they can make one of these every year, that would be perfect to me. Like just keep
I
getting
feel like
those
you,
out there.
yeah,
Yeah,
I feel like you run out of,
You might, yeah.
yeah, every
yeah.
year.
They should do
But
like a deep. They should do a deep cut. There are some
There should.
PlayStation One games that I think would like they're in the archive that they
Yeah,
could
and to
really.
be fair, like there is stuff that like I wanted to see that I didn't, but at the same time, like there I got a character from Wild Arms
yeah,
and I got a character from Legend of Dragoon, which like Jesus. You know what I mean? Like characters from like PlayStation 1 and 2 games that I never would have thought they would even think about again that are just there. Jumping Jack Flash, the big old rabbit, that's like the first PlayStation 1 game, so I get that. But yeah, some of those are really deep cuts, but they could go really, really deep if they wanted to. And I'd be all for it.
yeah. I guess for the most part, and a couple podcasts that I listened to mention this. Like while we are celebrating like the fact that they are going back into all of these franchises and like prove that they haven't forgotten about it,
Mhm.
it's also a reminder of all the studios that Sony has shut down.
Yeah,
A
true.
lot of old characters come from Japan Sony studios, and a lot of those don't exist anymore. So it's
Yep.
nice to see these callbacks and see these things. But just know that it's like, oh man, they're thinking about this. Maybe we'll get something. No, you won't. You will not get anything. Uh,
y- Yeah,
you will take your little reference and be fine with it.
yeah.
I
Two things. Oh, go ahead.
I just feel like a lot of it was them asking like, "Hey, can we make this character?" and them being like, "Yeah, sure." You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're right, Barry. There was an article that essentially said it's Astro Bot is not a celebration; it's a graveyard. I know it's a risky title, but it speaks to your point, and that's
Yeah.
what the article was about. It was like, look at all these. Um, yeah. So anybody, I have to speak to all my Bloodborne fans. Don't think they're just gonna come back in Bloodborne. I don't know I don't remember if I got a Bloodborne character or not that like in my early play, but like if
He's
it
in
is in
there.
there,
He's
yeah.
in there. Yeah.
Speaking of Bloodborne, there was a decent size of, and this is back to the PS5 Pro. There is a decent size of the community that is, if they say that Bloodborne at 60 frames a second is only available on a PS5 Pro, like
You're
the
buying it.
amount, I will not. I don't need to go back to Bloodborne whatsoever. But there are definitely a
I
lot of
do.
people who, one, would be very frustrated and very angry that they did that, and two, a maniacal laugh from Sony for
Yeah,
being as evil as they are sometimes with that.
true. Yeah, man, it may change, but I honestly think like this is my game of the year.
Yeah, we'll have to see. There's a couple other games still to come out. We still got Echoes.
Yeah,
Space Marine 2 is apparently very good,
yeah.
so I'm excited to start that.
We
Metaphor.
have, yeah, I was about to say we have a potential Atlas masterpiece coming
Yeah,
out that I'm all
you'll
in for.
True,
I
true.
do have FC25
You do?
on Friday. Yep, so that's gonna be,
We even have Indiana Jones in a couple of months coming out. You
That
never
is
know.
correct.
You
there's
never
still a
know.
chance. There's still a
Yeah.
chance.
Hmm.
We'll have to see. But tell us about the casting of Frank Stone.
Yeah. So I'm lukewarm. This is it's essentially Until Dawn, but it's not quite to Until Dawn's story delivery yet. Um, Also, Until Dawn was kind of like it was doing its thing in a space that wasn't really occupied by anybody, so that's what made it a little bit more revolutionary. But um, classic horror background. You know, it's for aspiring filmmakers, content creators type of things. There's like this rumor of Frank Stone who like apparently haunts this steel mill that's condemned. Of course, it's always condemned. You never go to a populated steel mill while everybody's working, you know. And it's just kind of like you navigating those four friends, trying to see who you can make the right choices for without dying. And there's a quick prologue and to kind of get you used to the QTEs, decision making process, all of those type of things. It looks it If any of you guys have played Until Dawn, if you've played The Quarry, it's that. So that's why I'm lukewarm because it's not doing anything different, per se, but it's, you know, I know that they can advertise that it's set in the Dead for Daylight universe, Dead by Daylight, sorry, universe,
Mhm.
but it's fine. It's a fine game. Not full price. Wait for it to be 20. Haggle if you have to, you know. Don't haggle. Please don't haggle at your local stores. But it's all right. You know, I don't know if I'm happy that I paid full price for it, but it does what it's supposed to do. There are minor jump scares. The bad guy's a bad guy. You know, that's you can tell. I'm lukewarm on it. So
Is it like same quality as an Until Dawn, or is it less?
in terms of like visual and such.
Yeah.
It's what I'm expecting this new Until Dawn being re-released on PS5 to be. Yeah, it
Okay.
looks good. It does look good. I do have some moments where the talking doesn't match up, you know, but like that kind of happens in games anyway. You kind of get used to that. But it's I consider it good enough to play. I just really can't sell anybody on buying it at full price. Like I know I paid for it, but I wouldn't tell anybody to right now, just at the moment. So
Fair. Okay. Then I will hold off. I'm also not buying the Until Dawn remake either. So there's that.
there you go.
Unless
What
there's like
else?
a new ending.
No,
I
I
think
don't
there
care.
is.
I don't care.
Okay.
I think I'm done
I
with
think
those type of games. Honestly,
What?
it's too much talking for him now.
it is.
It is a lot.
They can be a little boring until you get going. The intros are long on those
I'm,
games.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. The getting to the cabin and talking in the cabin and Until Dawn is a slow burn. It
It
does
really
pick up,
is.
and then it's really nonstop action for the most part. But yeah, the snowball fight and like all that stuff where it is a kind of a slow burn to start.
Fair.
So I know that's what. Do we have anything else?
Funko Fusion.
That's right. You have Funko Fusion. Tell us about it. Tell us
Yeah.
about how Fusion Funko fusions.
So if you take Astro Bot, which is a platformer, Funko Fusion is also a platformer, but it's like the dollar store version. Is
Okay.
that fair? Like the idea is interesting to me because it's like if you take the Lego games, which are very kid friendly, kid
Hmm.
related, and that's why the Funko Fusion game interested me because I'm like, okay, they have like uh Scott Pilgrim, The Thing, Chucky, you know what I mean? Like all the like more adult stuff that you couldn't do in a Lego game, really, you can do here. Um, and to be fair, I've only played like the Scott Pilgrim stuff so far, but it's very clunky and very just like for instance, we've all watched Barry, you watched the movie, right? Scott Pilgrim.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I
So
remember
like
that time.
yeah, I thought so. So like you pick Scott Pilgrim. I picked Scott Pilgrim first. You go in to the level and it's like you're at their gig and Matthew Patel comes in and you have to fight Matthew Patel just like in the movie. But it's literally just like, all right, you're in this one room, figure out how to get up to him and kill him or whatever, and then move on to like the oh my god, Chris Evans
Ghostbusters.
part. Chris Evans
Okay.
part with like the skateboarding. Like it's
Yes.
all there, but like it's just not done very well. Whereas this could be something that would be very cool. Like, oh yeah, it's a more teen to adult version of a Lego game, which there's a market there for that. And they've even done like the tie-in, like if you buy specific Funkos, they have scratch off codes to unlock them in the game, just like a Skylander or you know that kind of stuff. So the potential's
Yeah.
there, but the issue is like Funko's declining. Not as many people are buying Funkos. As someone who's bought a lot, the value has tanked. Um, I just think it's maybe a couple years too late for people to care about Funko anymore.
That's a good point.
If this would have came out like 4 or 5 years ago, I think this would have been like, oh my god, yeah, give me all the Funko stuff you
Mhm.
can. And I can see like the vision is good, but the execution, not so much. So I would probably pass on this, even if it's cheap, and it probably will be in like 6 months. But they tried, they gave it a shot.
It's a try.
Yeah, that's all you can
See,
ask.
throw it at the wall and see what sticks.
It did not.
Not for Craig.
Not for
Yep.
Craig.
The Funko shattered and fell to the ground.
Is
Right.
it a pretty like kid friendly game? Like, could you see like people getting this for their kids?
No,
Not like Astro Bot.
no, because like it has that. I don't know. I guess you could, but like if you're Funko, whoever you're playing as, like catches on fire, the plastic around them like melts off, and they walk around as a Funko skeleton, which is kind of
Okay.
funny.
Yeah.
And
It's like teetering that line.
yeah, and like I said, like the Thing is in there and Chucky,
Right.
and it's just
Right.
like,
Yeah,
it's not really more aimed towards
that's
kids,
true.
honestly.
All right then, movie/TV shows.
Yep.
All right, I watched Kiki's Delivery Service, and
Dang it.
I caught up on Pokemon Horizons.
Yes.
I did not watch Kiki's Delivery Service. I failed. I watched 2 movies this week. I watched The Crow and Subservience with Megan Fox.
All right. I also watched 2 movies this week. Craig, I followed your recommendation and watched Oddity,
Oh God, here we go.
and I also watched The Deliverance on Netflix.
I started that.
Yeah.
Didn't finish it.
Yeah.
Barry, I'm gonna watch Kiki's this week.
Okay, so well,
Give us the Kiki.
I'll keep like some of my stuff on reserve for Kiki's. To be
Okay.
fair, most of the stuff I'm watching is old, but what I will say is like out of the 2 we've watched so far, and like I know it's gonna end up being my favorite, but I haven't watched Kiki's Delivery Service in a while. I prefer Kiki's Delivery Service to Totoro's.
Really?
So yeah,
Okay.
I don't know if it's just like nostalgia for the most part. Like I never watched Totoro as a kid, but I
Mhm.
know I watched Kiki's Delivery Service. No, Kiki's Delivery Service still holds up. It's a good movie. I'm interested to see when you jump into it how you like it.
My kid watched Totoro with me when I was watching it, and she's like, she loved it. And I felt like she might be a little bit older for it, but no, she still loved it.
Yeah. I did want to ask you, did you watch Delicious in Dungeon or no? You didn't try that one yet.
No, I didn't. I put it in my
Okay.
queue though.
Okay, it's in your queue. I'll take it. I'll
Yep.
take it.
Yep.
Pokemon Horizons, I finally caught up on the newer episodes that are available in English. I am starting to get a little burned out. It just feels like everything is moving very slow, and
Okay.
where in my head all I want is fun Pokemon battle scenes.
Right.
They sometimes don't do that enough. Sometimes it's only like a 5-second thing and it's done. Whereas like they build up to a pretty big climax in this particular one, and that's when like the animation and the fights are like, oh, this is cool, this is awesome, I'm glad I'm watching this. But then there are other times where it's really slow and my brain's like at a standstill, like I don't know if I like this anymore. So we'll see how it is. Like Pokemon Horizons is, it is fun to watch and I'm enjoying it when it's doing the things that are fun to watch and interesting, or when it's like actually moving the plot forward. Because sometimes, the plot moves at a very filler-like pace.
Right.
So I should not watch it.
I don't know. You don't need to waste your
I'm not a
time.
big enough Pokemon fan for it.
I don't even think it's that. Like it's more or less like I don't see how a new person would like go, yeah, I want to watch Pokemon Horizons. What would get me into it? Like I don't see that reason for you.
Okay.
Like for me, I'm interested to see what they do past Ash. Now that the main character is Liko and Roy.
Okay. What was that? Liko?
Liko
and Roy, yeah.
I think that's a valid reason to watch it, Barry, to see post Ash, because it's just he's symbolic with Pokemon, specifically the television or the depicted television in a movie side, So
yeah, Craig.
I watched all the movies with him.
Right.
Craig, I had a moment after we recorded last week where I
Uh-oh.
was thinking about it, and I was like, I'm actually very interested about Oddity because I was like, I don't know if he's gonna like it. I wasn't sure.
And the answer is
because I really did. But go ahead.
I liked it.
Okay.
I spent a good amount of time trying to figure out what was like
going on.
Not what was going on, but I was trying to decide if I was going to like it.
Okay.
My wife was. I don't know if we're at the same I think maybe I liked it more. I can't remember because we watched it pretty early this week.
Hmm.
But there was a certain level of uneasiness, which is what I liked being kind of put into. And there's other movies this year that did this, but I think that they you could tell it's a creative, like a artsy more so movie.
Yep.
And there wasn't as many jump scares as necessarily I wanted.
Hmm.
I don't know how many jump scares I actually want per movie. That'd be interesting to like
At
maybe
least
think
10.
about. At least 10. Like, but
But
I
what's
know,
the but what's too many is the question then.
15.
yeah, like 25. Like that's just, are you trying to stop my heart? Like how can I don't know. But that mannequin that shows up like maybe 20 minutes in, that's basically there the whole rest of the movie, was insane. Um and they did something that Long Legs did, which is like specific camera angles that they were showing. You weren't sure if it was going to come to life or not, or when it was, or if it was. And I think that was a good part of the movie that kept me going with the whole reason as to why the whole premise of it actually. And ending was good. It was not a Oscar winning ending, but
Mhm.
I was satisfied with the ending. Um, I know that you did a good job like describing it, but the whole like she like ran an oddity shop and trying to understand what happened to her sister. Like I thought that was an interesting touch because she kind of just like came in there and just like made herself at home, with her the widowed spouse and his new girlfriend. And you were always kind of wondering what was going on, and I think that's one of the things that it kind of nailed. And like there's movies that do that, but like I didn't like it as much, but Midsummer did that for me way back
Mhm.
when. um it's good. I'm trying to decide if it's going to end up in our rotation. If it is, it'll probably be like an early
Yeah.
October, late September movie. But it is good. It is a good movie, and that's like the second real artsy movie, scary movie I've watched, with the other being stop motion, and it blew that out of the water.
Yeah.
So I I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. Did you say, like, did your wife watch it with you? Did she
She
like
did.
it?
Oddity?
Yeah,
She not really, but she doesn't really like too many horror movies to begin with.
got it.
So she was not on board with any. I mean, I think she saw the. I mean, it's made out of wood. That like puppet, and that was like her. Nope. Like the
Right.
first time you see it, that's exactly what you say. You're like, mm nope.
Yeah. Yeah, because she takes it out of the box. They don't show it on camera for a second, and then they
Yep.
do, and it's like this entrance,
Yeah.
and you're like, "Why are we? Why
To
are we
me, it's
letting
just
this
like
sit
that
here?"
when the new girlfriend looks down from the balcony and it's like staring up at her. I was like, oh god, I don't like
Yeah,
that. I don't like it.
yeah,
Get it out of
yeah,
here.
yeah. It's a movie. It's definitely a movie. So
Yeah. Give me Deliverance though, because I have thoughts on that.
I'm really nervous because I really like this movie. So
Oh God.
so here's where Deliverance is going to lose people, though. It is a pretty lengthy movie. I think it's like an hour and a half, hour and 45, maybe even two. Um, the reason why it worked for me. So just a quick premise. It's based off a true story, based on the Ammons haunting case, which is essentially a woman and her three kids, single mother. They moved to a new house in Detroit, or sorry, Indiana, and they essentially claimed paranormal activity. She claimed that her children had some possessions, and they had to do the Amityville thing, which was basically like leave. It got a lot of national attention, at least in the area around Indiana. So it's based off of that. I like stuff that's based off of stuff inspired by it, that type of thing. But same premise. Andra Day plays alcoholic mother. I don't know if the actual woman was alcoholic or not, but alcoholic mother, single mother, moves in with three kids into a new house, and also her stepmom, or adoptive mom. I can't remember which one it is, but long story short, they start having paranormal things happen around the house. The difference with this movie is like the kids started getting to get possessed, and this is not ruining it for you. They literally lay it all out there in the trailer. The kids specifically one by one get possessed, which I thought was a slight difference to possession movies, because possession movies tend to have one singular possession until who the inevitable person who tries to exercise it may or may not get possessed. That's usually the MO of possession movies. This one had like multiple. And if we remember whatchamacallit did it where there was two people possessed recently, and we were like, oh my god, two people. What's the
The,
not poltergeist,
the last was it the last exorcism or whatever? Oh, I know what you're
what
talking about. The two
the
girls.
Exorcist, the Exorcist, yeah, coming, yeah, whatever it was.
Yep.
But anyway, multiple possessions. The thing that got me, and bringing it back to the point I was trying to originally make, what got me about this film is they spend a good amount of time showing you the family themselves. So you do get attached to the family. A lot of this movie is, how does an alcoholic mother who's mad at her mom, who lives in the house, and how she was raised, but is raising her children in an abusive, verbally and physically way. So like you're getting attached to the kids and like detached from what happens to the mother because the mother is so mean. And I think that that's where it got me, because I was slowly, there's these paranormal things that are happening, but because, daytime, kids go to school, they come home, mom's yelling at him for something like this. She has a party at the house, drinks too much, stays up too late. And then the kicker is that, as you could probably guess by my description, anytime something paranormal happened, and what happens with paranormal stuff, people end up with bruises, scratches, things like that. What are they doing? They're blaming it on the mother because the mother's an alcoholic ex-convict. So that was the dilemma that I found interesting throughout the movie, because they kept, there's a child services person who kept coming over, and she's like, "What's going on?" And that child services was played specifically really well by Monique, who is a national treasure. Glenn Close, who is even more of a national treasure to me, was in it. And the one thing I noticed about her is, like, whatever role she's in, she can't do wrong. I'm sorry, it's Glenn Close. I don't think she has a bad acting bone in her body. But she plays the main character's mother, and does, I think, a pretty good job. So it has your classic points where it hits the top. There's a point where, she has to make some decisions, and and I thought it was a very good movie overall. But I can understand if, while you watched it, you were like, please get me out of here. It just, I don't know I don't know, it appealed to me.
That's
So
fair.
Craig, let's hear your thoughts on your
I mean,
your portion.
I didn't finish it. I thought the dynamic was honestly hilarious between the mom, because she was so mean to like
She's
her
really mean.
mom and the kids and all that. I was like, this isn't weird. Um, it is an exorcism movie, so like part of me, like, there's such a heavy emphasis on exorcism movies to like religion anyway, but it was so much in this movie that I was like, is this one of those like secretly released by conservative film company movies? You know what I mean?
Movies.
Because it was
Right.
just so over the top. But I mean, I'll finish it. I got like halfway through and I was like, man, nothing's happening, like
Yeah.
it does drag a bit.
It's all family building, what's going on with the family. You think
Yeah,
you're watching a different movie from the first half to the second, to be honest with you.
fair. Yeah, I'll finish it. Add it to my list of a million things I have to finish. You guys
Yeah.
got games, I got movies and TV shows.
That is, yeah,
Right.
your MO.
Okay. Subservience. I think I said that right. With Megan Fox. If there was a perfect role for Megan Fox and the way that she acts, it would be for her to be an AI robot, right? And that is exactly what she is in this movie. Kind of reminds me of Megan a little bit, except that instead of a kid, it is Megan Fox, and she is bought by a man whose wife is in the hospital, and he buys her to help take care of his uh, two kids. One's a baby, one's a little daughter, and the AI goes rogue and decides that she wants to take the place of the mother, kind of. So she comes crazy and starts doing things, starts messing with the father. Um, the acting's pretty bad. Throw that out there. Megan Fox is all right because Megan Fox is just gonna Megan Fox, right? That's what
She's just gonna Megan
she's
Fox.
just gonna Megan Fox. But like the father, I tried looking it up. I have not seen him in anything. He's really bad, really bad. And the movies, it's all right. The ending I think was kind of cool when she goes all crazy, but it does have a little bit of a build up. It's like an hour and 40 minutes, but like, and it's like a good hour 15 before she goes crazy. So it's a long time that you're just watching her like slowly try to take the place in the family. Um, I don't think you need to see it, but if Megan Fox as an AI robot interests you, it's out there. I think that's probably the best way to say it.
Does she go malignant crazy? Like kills like a whole
She does kill some
area
people,
of
yeah.
Okay.
And then I watched The Crow. The Crow in my household with my daughter is like religious material. You like don't mess with that movie. She loves The Crow. I do not hold The Crow in such high regard as she does, but it is a fairly good movie from the 90s. Is that a good way to say it?
That's a good way to say it. Cult classic.
It's okay.
It's a Donnie Darko kind of
Yeah.
cult classic.
Um, it's all right. I think it's held in higher regard than it needs to be because of the unfortunate happenings of the movie. But what I will say about this movie, because I know it got trashed a lot. If you've seen the original one is like, hey, here's the main character, here's his girlfriend, and like right when the movie starts, they kill them both, but he comes back, right? This one, it's an hour and 45 minutes, and about 45 minutes of it is just him meeting the girl, spending time with her. They do a long time building that up, which was a little slow until you actually get to the point where, spoiler, she dies, he dies, but he's sent back. And if you don't know, the Crow, he gets sent back from the dead because he's told he can save her if he kills the people who killed her, and he can't be killed, right? He's like, he can feel pain, but it doesn't kill him type deal. Which kind of makes him a superhero, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Superhero. When he starts crowing, let's say that, becoming the Crow, it's pretty cool. Like, it's like uber violent, like super gory, you know what I mean? Like, but there you don't get much of it because they wait until the last like 30 minutes of the movie. But like over the top stuff, like taking his sword and putting it in a guy's mouth and shoving it, cutting his head in half, like that's what we're talking about. Just going over the top. That I think that part works well for me. So I don't know if they'd ever make another one based on how this one did, but I think they could, and it would be all right. So I don't hate the movie like everybody else did. It just has a very, very slow going. Um, but overall, I'm not disappointed with it, to be fair.
It's you see all these superheroes like it's kind of like Spawn.
Yeah.
Spawn's like that.
Mm-hmm.
Punisher is like that, where like
Yep.
the movies are not necessarily revered, but you know there is definitely a market for people who do want to see that. And The Crow is a classic to a lot of people. My wife loves The Crow as
Yeah.
well. Yeah.
And again, the old movie's good. I just don't hold it in as high regard as some people do. It's fine. And the new one is fine, just like the old one. I'd rather. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it seems like most reviews for that movie seem to be comparing it to the old one. People
Yeah.
seem to prefer the old one better. But
Yeah.
when he like your line of when the crow starts crowing is pretty much when
Yep.
when it's Morbin time for Morbius.
It's Morbin time, baby.
Right there.
Yep.
That's the line of the year for
Yep.
right now. Craig.
You just
The
like
Crow
you get
starts
to that
crowing.
point and you're like, this is pretty cool. Why weren't they doing this the whole movie? You know, like this could have been a really good movie if you would have just did what the original did and just kind of be like, all right, let's get to it. You know, but for whatever reason,
Yeah.
they decided to really flesh out the relationship between the two, which is fine, I guess.
Right.
Give it a shot if it interests you.
Yeah,
Your
just
wife will
there's a little-
probably hate it.
Yeah,
Craig.
there's a little
Right.
sustenance to the crowing.
Yeah, you got
Yeah,
you got to know why he's crowing. You
he
know
needs
what
to
I mean?
crow more.
Exactly,
He needs
yeah.
to crow more, though.
If he just shows up on screen and says it's crowing time, you're not going to be as into it, right? You
Well,
got to
Craig, you're
earn
right.
the crowing.
Craig, you're right. But you're right, though. You're like, this is Steven and Jody. Oh, look, they're dead. But Steven's back, and
Give
he's
us Steven's
mad.
back and he's pissed.
Yeah. Fine.
Wait, he may be pissed, but he's always got time to put his makeup on, baby. And his eyeliner. Get to crowing, everybody.
I like that for the ending of the podcast here. That was it, right?
Yeah,
that was it.
that was
Bruce?
it.
Yep, perfect. I'm just making sure that I didn't step on anybody's toes. I don't want
No,
anybody
you're
start
good.
crowing out on me.
No,
Just
yep.
stop with it. Yeah, nobody's gonna crow out over here.
Yeah. But with that being said, I want to thank everybody for listening. If you feel so inclined on your podcast listening platform of choice, please make sure to share us, like, subscribe, leave a review if you feel so inclined. On YouTube, if you want to like and comment on are you buying the PS5 Pro? Like I gotta have some sort of idea on how many people are buying this thing.
I have not seen a single person yet, by the way.
Now
Yeah.
I did see a couple media people say that they were buying it.
They're probably getting it for free.
Right.
That you're probably not wrong. But with that, I appreciate everyone's support as we always get that from everyone, and we will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye, guys.
See ya.